because there's one thing that I add to my sourdough that you're apparently not really supposed to do.
This is so weird. Is it because I'm filming it for you that it's not working? See, she looks much better now. Hi, I am making sourdough bread this weekend for like the 5th time, but this is actually my 8th or my 9th loaf. And it has definitely been a journey. I made my starter, Gloria, from scratch. And over the last month or so, I've been trying to perfect a sourdough bread recipe that I like tasting and that actually works in the Caribbean heat. Luckily, today is a cool day, so that should help things out as well. So we've been making bread for maybe the past 3 to 4 weeks, and we have had a lot of bad bread in the process. Let me show you. I think we've actually thrown it out, but at one point in time I had like 4 or 5 different bags of not so great sourdough bread, but we've eaten it. It's not horrible, it's edible. The first loaf that I made was pretty inedible, however. But while 1 or 2 loaves weren't very good, we've had some pretty decent stuff. I think the more my starter develops and mature, and the more that I practice, I'm getting a little bit better each time. So yeah, we've eaten a lot of bad bread throughout this process, but we've also had some winners. We've had some loaves that came out pretty well. I feel like every loaf comes out a little bit better, and there are some lessons that I've learned along the way. So lessons about making sourdough bread, but I also feel like some of these lessons are life lessons that can be applied to other things. So we're trying again this weekend. So this will be probably the 10th and 11th loaves. I'm making one in like a loaf pan for like sliced bread or sandwich loaf. And then I'm doing another one in the cast iron pot because I like to switch it up and have those 2 options. Now we're going to feed Gloria, my starter, and then I will check back in with you later today so that we can see how she is doing. Now this video is not going to be a recipe video in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to be a how to make the best sourdough bread ever. Definitely isn't going to be that. But I'm going to take you along the process, and hopefully it inspires you to create some sourdough. If you are in Antigua and Barbuda, you can reach out and I can give you some of Gloria if you want to start your own sourdough journey. Because while I truly enjoyed the process of creating the starter, it wasn't easy, and if you don't have the patience to wait like 2 or so weeks, reach out and I will give you a little bit of my starter so you can have a bit of a cheat code and jumpstart your journey. I'm lazy, so I don't think I'm going to like clean the entire jar. Making sourdough bread is definitely time consuming, but I feel like it's such a rewarding activity. So in our heat, I like to feed 20-ish grams of starter. Oh, you know what? That's not 20, that's 40. So we're doing 2 loaves. Oh no, actually, I think this is gonna be fine. Oh, so I'm going to do just about 50 grams of starter. Mix, 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 mix. Starter, 100 grams of water. Okay, she looks good. Cover it pretty loosely. Put her. Yeah, I know it's upside down. And Gloria is all fed. Going to leave her here for a few hours. Hi, I am back with Gloria. She looks so good. She has definitely more than doubled, and I'm so proud of her. I really am, because I started her a couple of weeks ago and I did not think that this was going to work out. I just wanted to give you a close-up. She has definitely more than doubled, and she is nice and bubbly. The first time I made my starter, it just did not work out. I don't know what went wrong. I feel like I did everything right, but for whatever reason it just wasn't working, and I had to scrap it by day 5 or so. I was really disappointed, but I decided, you know what, let me try again. So I tried the second time. When I tried the second time, everything was going really well until once again about day 3 or so, and it just stopped bubbling, it just stopped doubling, and I was so tempted to toss her out, but I continued pushing through, kept feeding her. And then after a little bit, she started doubling again, which I loved. And I think I made a bit of a mistake here, because when she was consistently doubling, I decided I was ready to make a bread. Well, I wanted to make a bread, but I wasn't ready yet. So I put her into the fridge. I fed her and then put her into the fridge. When I took her out, my girl did not double. She didn't move. And I was pretty sure I had killed her. So maybe for 2 days, I was feeding and discarding and feeding, and she just was not budging. I thought I had killed her. In fact, I ordered a starter online, like a dehydrated starter. I ordered it, and then I thought a little bit about it, so then I canceled it again, and then I ordered it again because I was just back and forth. So I ordered it twice, canceled it twice, and eventually I said, you know what, let me give her time, let me be patient. The second time it worked. I don't know why, I don't know what happened, it worked, and she's just so happy now. Alrighty, so we are going to make our loaf. We have everything here. I have my recipe book here, which is just a random notebook. I'm thinking of getting an actual binder at some point in time, but for now I literally just scribble my recipes down. So we're basically using salt, our starter, water, and wheat and white flour. It's not a recipe video. I'm still trying to perfect mine and how it works in the Caribbean heat. But what I will do is I will pop the list of my ingredients that I'm using onto the screen, if that's something that you want to try, and then I'll also share the recipe that I adapted it from. So ooh, she looked good. She looks so good. This is how much is left back, but it's more than enough for us to feed her, so that we have a starter for the next time I want to make bread. So I'm treating making sourdough bread as a hobby. I genuinely enjoy it. So I could make regular bread in way less time, but the process of making this, I just find, is so incredibly relaxing. think it's a pretty good hobby for someone like me who is not the most patient, because you truly have to be patient and take your time when it comes to the process. There are times when I have rushed making my loaf and I'll think, that is good enough. It has risen enough, and end up with like a hard lump of inedible bread. And I definitely learned my lesson from that. You cannot rush the process. So I'm gonna put 700 of this type of flour. Wheat flour is gonna be 250 grams of wheat flour. When it comes to sourdough, you can think that you have done everything right. You have followed all of the steps and it just isn't working out. And when that happens, I think it's okay to just scrap it and start over. As much as you don't want to hear that, scrap it and start over. On the other hand, there may be times when you think that the process isn't working. You've been doing everything by the book, you've been following the recipe, but sometimes, like in the case of sourdough, that recipe wasn't developed for where you are. So a lot of the recipes that I found on sourdough, they weren't developed for the Caribbean region where it is so warm and so humid, and that can affect the process. So you just need to trust in what you're doing, trust the process, and then as time goes on, as you learn and as you take lessons from your failures, you will figure out when you need to scrap and when you need to trust the process, see it through to the end, and work from there. Like right now, I am pretty sure I followed the recipe to the letter. 620 water, I did 950 flour, and this is just feeling a little bit too dry for me, but we'll see. I'll continue to work it in and then we'll see. It is a little bit drier than what I am used to, so I think I'm going to put a little bit of water in. Just a little bit, because all of this is dry flour. So the last time I did this, the 620 grams of water was perfectly fine. I think this might be okay. So there's a fancy word for what I'm going to do now. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but basically we're going to let this chill for about 30 minutes to help the gluten structure develop. For me, making sourdough bread is not about making the best, the most technically correct loaf that looks perfect, but it's about figuring out how I enjoy eating sourdough bread and figuring out a recipe that works well for me, a recipe that I like eating. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a sec, because there's one thing that I add to my sourdough that you're apparently not really supposed to do, but I prefer how my bread comes out when I add it. So I'm actually going to feed Gloria real quick, and she doesn't need a lot to eat right now. 60 grams of starter, 60 grams of water, and 60 grams of flour. Basically, whenever you're making your starter, you want it to look like thick pancake batter. That's how you want your starter to look. I'm actually trying to figure out a method where I can have less discard, because I know there are recipes that you can use, but I can barely keep up with the actual sourdough bread. So it has been just over half an hour. We're gonna add our salt. We're gonna add our salt and that, not really secret, but that ingredient that I mentioned before. I know most sourdough bread recipes don't include it, but I'm actually going to add oil to mine. So I add around 1/2 tablespoon of oil per loaf. So it's gonna be 1 full tablespoon that I'm adding. So I just dimple my dough a little bit and then I pour the oil on. Now we're going to do our first set of stretch and folds. So we just got to, she all stiff. We're going to bring her up and over, turn the bowl, moisten the fingertips a little bit, wiggle it, up and over. This bread, it honestly feels a little stiffer than I like it, but we'll see. We're gonna do up and over. And out, girl, we are going up. I'm gonna try to stretch it. It's so loud. I'm gonna try to stretch it as much as we can without tearing the dough. Up and over. And I'm actually gonna just let it chill here for a little bit. She's honestly feeling a little bit drier than I like, so I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of water and try to knead that in. Listen, and if it's right or wrong, but we're going to do it. We're here for our second set of stretch and folds, and it looks much better. Let's try this. Just stretch, fold. Okay, yeah, that's much better. And eventually this will work in. Okay, no, she kind of stiff. This is so weird. Is it because I'm filming it for you that it's not working? Yeah, I promise, the last couple of times it actually worked. Listen. Okay. But I just need to keep repeating my mantra, which is trust the process. I don't know, the last couple of times it came out really good. I don't know what's happening now. It's like really dry. Why does that? I probably should not be tearing it actually. Oops. Okay, that was not a good stretch and fold. I don't know. This is really strange. Did I mess up the recipe at some point? I'm trying to figure that out. So I'm actually going to let it rest and then I'm going to come back and try to do some stretch and folds. So we are at our last set of stretch and folds, and it looks pretty good. See, she looks much better now. Don't know what's going on before, but now I'm a little more hopeful. It's still a little stiff, but it's fine. If you see cucumbers on the side, they're not going into the bread. We're doing them with dinner. I'm having them with dinner. Doing some air fried, well, air fried everything really. Air fried chicken wings with some air fried steak and some fries in the air fryer. Listen, I know I probably don't have the best stretch and fold technique, but she feels pretty good. So we're going to leave her covered for as long as it takes for her to get nice and bubbly. I'll show you what it looks like now. So once it's once it's ready, you can see the difference. So here we are, and we're just going to give it, I don't know how long. We'll check back in maybe an hour or two. Once it has like increased by 50%, we'll know it's good. Hopefully that's not going to take much longer, because as you can see, I'm in my PJs and I'm ready for bed.
Right now, I kind of want to try and let it go. They should be rotating to ability. Actually, also go back to one again, just so I can get more of them. There might actually be some loop in this. Now, this is going to be yeah.
So it is now like 10:30, which means that I've been working on sourdough for what, 12 hours at this point. So what I'm going to do next is shaping of the dough to knock out all of this. I think one of the keys about making sourdough that I wasn't doing properly the first couple of loaves is letting it bulk ferment, so that you end up with really well risen loaves. So once it more than doubles, well, not really more than doubles, once it increases by around 30 to 50% and you see the bubbles, I'm not sure if you can see this huge bubble at the top. That's how I know that it's ready. Okay. I'm just gonna let these two loaves chill for about 20 minutes or so. Give them another rough shape and then put them into the floured banneton basket. So we are just going to finish up. Just gonna tighten this ball in again. Turn her over in here and just pinch the seam close. Okay. And then just pinch any seam that we find close. Cover them, pop them into the... I'm missing a cover. Why am I missing a cover? Oh! You see, I'm so tired I only had one cover. All right, here we go. I'm going to leave them here for maybe 5 or so minutes while I tidy up, and then I'll put them into the fridge so that they can continue that final proof. But they look really good. It looks promising. I feel like the flour gets everywhere when I work here. Good morning. It is somewhere between 7 and 7:30. I just preheated my oven. I'm going to go eat a sugar apple and a mango because I'm a little bit hungry, and this bread won't be finished for like what, 2 hours. And let me show you what it looks like now. This is what they look like. Let me take one off. I won't take both. But that's what they look like. I'm gonna put them back into the fridge. The oven, the Dutch oven, they need to preheat for about an hour or so before the bread goes in. I find it wastes a lot of like resources in terms of the gas. So what I'll do while it's heating up, I'm going to put some chicken in, the chicken that we'll have for dinner. Have this. It looks so good. I got these from my mom yesterday. So it's about time for us to put our bread in. Ooh, I think I showed you earlier, but if not, that's what they're looking like. I don't have any parchment paper left, and we didn't have any at the store. This is a sourdough kit that I bought online, and I think they have, yeah, they came with a silicone sling. Oh, maybe I can try to use this. Yeah, let's try to use it. So I'm going to use this silicone sling for the loaf, the round loaf, and then for the one in the bread sandwich loaf pan, I'll use some cornmeal. Do I need to flour it? Let me flour it just in case. I don't know if I need to. Probably should Google it. Oh, okay. How much cornmeal do we need to put down? And then for our loaf, looks good. That's already good. I don't know why is it tearing. Part is necessary, but I usually cover it with a heated. Thank you. Yeah, let's heat up your own face. Oh, wait.
You're another thirsty season.
Don't.
That don't sound right.
That sounds really good.
It's a nice, got a good rice. It's good.
One of the last things this process has taught me is that hard work really does pay off eventually, because making sourdough starter and then a loaf from scratch is not easy, but then you get results like this. So I'm going to continue with my sourdough bread making journey, and hopefully they work out. I know my loaves are far from perfect, and that's fine with me. They taste really good now. While this entire process has been so much work, every time I cut into a new loaf, I'm excited like it's the first one. I want to see what it looks like when I lift the lid off of the pot and I see that it has gotten that oven spring, that oven raise. I am absolutely thrilled every single time. It's like opening a present. I think it's safe to say that I am officially obsessed, so I'll probably be making a loaf or two every week for the foreseeable future. Glory and I will be seeing what we can get up to, and hopefully my loaves keep getting better. But even if they don't, and this is what I am left with, I'll still be pretty happy, because at least we'll have a friend.